And here we are. Welcome Friday. Logical Hippie is here. It is Friday evening. What day is it? I don't even know. It doesn't matter. Maybe it does matter, but I don't have my phone on me right now, so I don't know. It's the 22nd. I don't care. Days don't matter. Time doesn't matter. The universe does not care about time. It only cares about your time with it. That's something I wrote recently. So welcome. You can reach me, subscribe to my channel, like my stuff. I appreciate all the support. I'm on Light News. On my Facebook page is Light News. You can reach me at logicalhippie@gmail.com. And that is where we're at. Welcome again to the show. This is changed up a little bit from the last time I came on. I've been trying to balance life. I talk about this quite a bit, where it's hard being a single dad and going to work every day and dealing with this coronavirus BS and what's going on in the media and what's going on in the world and dealing with people and raising two kids and trying to keep them educated. My mom's homeschooling them, which is great. And so I talk to her daily about what she's teaching them and how we're dealing with their behaviors. And I'm trying to raise men. I'm not raising kids. I'm raising men. And, I wish I could, at some point I'll teach them how to, do maybe battling, more karate kind of stuff, because they need to learn how to have self-defense. And I think that's important. So, I do that. I go to work, and it doesn't leave a lot of time to do these videos. And I really want to make sure that I've got the info and the data that you need. And I don't have the time to do this every single day. I'm one guy. I'm only one dude. I can only do so much. And I do the best that I can. And I try to put the information out there so that you guys can think about it and make a decision for yourselves. But I think it's going to be down to 1 day a week. I get one night to myself with no kids, so I can sit here, I can research, and I can write, and I can do a lot of thinking over the course of the week and bring to you, a pretty damn good show, in my opinion. So you'll see. You get to decide that for yourself. I don't, it is what it is. So first things first, we got to do the prayer. That's what we always do. So let's just do that. And because we gotta send that gratitude and love and energy to the world, because we need it right now. So let's do it. You ready? Always starts with that deep, slow breath. Slow down your mind and appreciate the present moment. And that's where we are. We are here right now, being one with ourselves. When we are one with ourselves, we are able to send that energy more fluently to the universe. And it starts with breathing, proper breathing. Slowing ourselves down, slowing our mind down. You can feel it slowing your mind. Feel it slowing down in your chest. Your body starts to regulate. Thank you, Lord, for the wonderful blessings you have provided for us today. We give thanks for our life, our strength, our courage, our love, and your insight. And we ask that the world may be blessed with us today. Amen. God bless our families. So welcome. Here we go. Woo! Brought to you today by, this show is brought to you today by Kangen water, electrolyzed, ionized, rapid cellular hydration. If you don't have this water, what water are you drinking? Are you drinking water? Maybe you're drinking beer, soda, vitamin water, Fiji water, cloud water, smart water, not so smart water. Still not as good as the Kangen water. Plus, it comes with hand sanitizer, an endless supply of it, water that emulsifies oil, beauty water for your skin, other kind of water for other things, and 100+ uses, and water your plants and your cats and your animals and everything else you got. So, it's like the best water on the planet. And why you don't have one, I don't know. They're so amazing. It's only like $5 a day, and that's the expensive option at 0% interest. Or you could get a credit card, 0% interest for 15 months. And pay about $50 a month, which is $1.50 a day. You tell me you don't have $1.50 a day? That's great. You're kidding yourself. Come on. All right, so here we go. First thing of the day, we got Wayne Dyer, of course, Taoism, CDC numbers. and a little bit of Trumpisms, and the left and the Constitution all rolled into one, because right now we're looking at the U.S. Constitution against the world. It's been like that since the inception of the Constitution, and it will continue to be like that because freedom is not free. So let's get down to Wayne Dyer. This is the 14th verse. Wayne Dyer labels his chapter Living Beyond Form, and you can gather this, think about this as I read this 14th verse. And of course, I will read a little bit of Wayne Dyer to help kind of break down what this means, because he does a really fantastic job breaking down these verses. That which cannot be seen is called invisible. That which cannot be heard is called inaudible. That which cannot be held is called intangible. These three cannot be defined. Therefore, they are merged as one. Each of these three is subtle for its description. By intuition, you can see it, hear it, and feel it. Then the unseen, unheard, and untouched are present as one. Its rising brings no dawn, its setting no darkness. It goes on, unnameable, returning into nothingness. Approach it, and there is no beginning. Follow it, and there is no end. You cannot know it, but you can be it at ease in your own life. Discovering how things have always been brings one into harmony with the way. As Wayne Dyer says, some scholars have singled out this 14th verse of the Tao Te Ching as the most significant of all its 81 offerings, because it stresses the significance of the single principle that's the underpinning of all existence. Tapping into this invisible, untouchable, immeasurable force will enable you to gain the harmony that comes with being connected to the oneness. And harmony is your ultimate objective in deciding to live an inspirited life. You want to learn to abandon your ego, which identifies with the world of things, possessions, and achievements, and re-enter the placeless place from which you and all others originated. By doing so, you regain the mystical, almost magical powers of your eternal source of being. Here, you live beyond the world of form. Awe and gratitude will grow when you embrace this forever principle. But even greater than this, you'll awaken to new possibilities that include your own divine magnificence. Your mind will free itself from a false identification with the transitory world, and you'll see the eternal in all things. Yes, Lao Tzu tells you, you'll transform your life by being in spirit. It is here that you will recognize what Rumi poetically offered some 1,500 years after Lao Tzu's powerful words. Quote, every tree and plant in the meadow seemed to be dancing. Those which average eyes would see as fixed and still, end quote. Do you follow? It's a hard thing to grasp, all this kind of spirituality. It took me a long time to kind of understand what God was saying, or what these teachings were saying, or what I was supposed to do, or how I was supposed to see it. And really, even though I did see parts of it, and I did feel a lot of energy from it, practicing it and doing it and living it every day is a completely different task. It's a completely different expectation of ourselves. And it takes constant practice, like anything else. That's kind of the key to life, is that you don't give up, you keep trying. We are never going to achieve 100% abilities in anything, because we can always improve. Michael Jordan, didn't matter how many shots he took, he couldn't make 100% of them, but he kept taking the shots because he got better and better until he was more highly effective. And that's really the key that we get to. I mean, if you look at a very successful basketball player, they're shooting, 40 to 45%. That means you're failing 55 to 60% of the time. So you have to understand that your trial and error, you're going to have a lot of failure, and you're going to have to get up each time you fail and try again if you want to achieve the ultimate perfection of where you're trying to get to. And continuing to strive, never giving up. Even if you've reached the top, you never give up. It's one of the biggest things that have caused people to fail, is that they get to the top and then they stop working. They start thinking it's easy. They start skating, and that's when things fall apart. So never give up. Always push. Always, don't push hard. You don't have to push too hard, but you have to continue to try to improve. You have to, what I would call your art. You continue to make your art, you continue to create, you continue to use your imagination, because if you are stagnant, you start losing your imagination in things, and you become kind of complacent, and complacency leads to worse outcomes. So there is that piece of things that I take from the Wayne Dyer of today. Let's get right to the CDC numbers. I've compared these numbers, which it's been a week since I did my last video, so kind of get some relevance as to the time frame and what's going on with the numbers. A week ago was 154,000 deaths worldwide. A week later, we're at 197, which is an increase of 43,000 deaths over that week. The recovery rate is gone down 1% versus the death rate worldwide. But what's good news is that the people that are currently infected, the percentage of people in critical condition has gone down from 4% to 3%. So that's good. This is worldwide numbers, like I said. In the U.S., last week it was 37,000 deaths. This week is 52,000, which is an increase of about 15,000 deaths. Okay, 110. So 60,000 last week had recovered. 110,000 recovered this week. That's a huge increase. We almost doubled the recovery rate in a week. 110,000 recovered this week, only 60,000 last week. That's really incredible. So that jumped up the ratio of death to recovery from 62% to 68%. There's 762,000 that are still active. 15,000 of those are in critical condition, which puts us at a percentage lower than the world percentage of 1.97%. Are in critical condition versus the 3% worldwide. So we're doing pretty good, I would say, as far as the curve of this whole thing. And of course, this all includes putting faulty numbers and COVID deaths on there and totally jacking up the numbers. I mean, it's just, the whole thing is just ridiculous. So I could go on and on. I could show you articles. I could prove it to you. The hospitals are not busy. The two ships that they sent to New York and LA were sent back basically empty. There's not the pandemic we all expected. Are people still dying? Yes, people are still dying. Yes, it's sad that people die. But how many have died? If you're looking at 52,000 in this country have died, and we've put 330 million people in jeopardy of their life, because you were crashing everything. The whole economy and everything is crashing. We've 30 million on unemployment. You can't look me straight in the face and tell me that putting 30 million people on unemployment is a good thing. Like, in no world is that a good thing. Every week, up to around 4 million people are signing up for unemployment. The biggest number of people that did that in a week span before now was, I think that was the total jobless claims back in 1984, I think it was. The biggest jobless claims up until now was 700,000. 700,000 was the biggest jobless claims over the course of a period. I don't think it was over a week. I think it was the course of the period of that time. And I have to go back and do the research, or maybe you can too, to double check those numbers. But it's about 700,000 people file for unemployment. 4 million to 5 million are applying every week. That's not going to lead to good things. Let's do, I meant to be doing this math really quickly. So they increased the unemployment payment by $600, right? And that's $600 a week, which is about $2,400 a month. Let's by 52 weeks. That's $31,200 a year, based on $600 a week additionally to what people were making before, right? So that's $31,200. What's that number going to be times 30 million? So 31, let's just call it 30,000 times 30 million. Times 30, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 equals, is that number even going to fit on my screen? It's more than is that more than $1 billion? No, that's $1 million. Okay, there's $1 million, $936 million. $936 million a year simply by increasing the unemployment benefits. That's $1 trillion a year just by increasing the unemployment benefits on the current number of unemployed people. That doesn't include the increase that we're going to continue to see if this shutdown continues. So $1 trillion a year we're just throwing down the drain to sit people on unemployment. That's additional money. What is the actual number that they make or have made before that? What is that number? What does that amount to be? And we still don't have everybody on unemployment. So let's say, you could venture to say that this number, $1 trillion just for this $600 increase, you could probably triple that number to pay for unemployment. So just to keep people unemployed, we're going to spend $3 trillion a year. And that doesn't include medical bills, paying for heat, electricity. And what about the people? So of the, let's say 50 million people go unemployed. Just to put a number out there, that's very likely to happen if we go down this path, if not more. There's 130 million people who work. So you're putting a third of the workforce on unemployment. Our total budget for the U.S. economy, right? So we already, before this whole thing happened, when the economy was really doing well, we were losing $4 trillion a year. Well, but we made $3 trillion. That was good, so the economy's chugging along, people are working, tax revenues coming in, and the government's collecting $3 trillion a year, but they're still throwing away $4 trillion for a net loss of $1 trillion. Well, then you take a third of the workforce and you put them out of work and you put them all on unemployment benefits that are paying them taking out of the U.S. government $3 trillion. There's $7 trillion now added to our budget. Total $3 trillion, totaling $7 trillion a year. So we're now losing $4 trillion a year. This is just for the unemployment people. That doesn't include paying for all the other additional expenditures. Has anybody thought about, we're going to just be doing lawsuits and it's lawyers, guns, and money. That's exactly where we're headed. It's unfeasible. We have to get back to work. We have to work. This is what we do. We can't not produce anything. It's like I was telling a friend of mine today, money, the value of money is only what we believe it has, the value that it holds, what it's backed by. So if somebody sells you something, you want to trade something, personally, a friend, just a friend, right? You want to trade them something, and they had lawn chairs that they want to sell you, and they sold you this lawn chair, and you gave them this IOU note, It's no different than a piece of cash, because a piece of cash is a promissory note that's backed by gold. Well, if your IOU is just an IOU, not backed by anything, is your neighbor going to trade the IOU for this lawn chair? Or is he going to want something tangible that you have, that you produce, that he could trade you for? So let's say you have an abundance of trees. And he's like, well, just trade me the trees. Okay, great. We trade you, you give me the lawn chair, I give you the tree. That's an equal trade. Or I give you cash for trees later because I got the trees. But if you cut down all your trees and burn them, and you've nothing to trade your cash with because you've just printed more of your IOUs to hand out on that's backed by no more trees, you don't have anything else to trade with, well, your neighbor's not going to take your money anymore because it's not worth anything. He wants trees or something. He wants gold. You don't have gold, you have trees, and you burn them. That's the same as what we're doing right now. We're printing money that's backed by nothing. We're not producing anything because we're not working. In fact, we just shut down one of the biggest chicken food factories in the country. Where was it, in Idaho, Tyson Chicken? So more people are going to go out of work, and more people are going to go out of work, and more people, and we're going to balloon to 50 million people out of work, and we're not going to be making anything. We're not going to be producing anything, which means we can't sell anything except for a promissory note, like, hey, we'll pay you back later. Well, the people that loan us the money are going to decide and realize that our money is worthless. That China's not going to accept it anymore. They're going to say your money's worthless. We're going to stop selling you goods, or whoever it is that we trade with. And then interest rates are going to go up to cover our debt. And then no one's going to be able to buy anything. Not to mention that food is going to become a challenge because the farmers aren't selling their food. They're dumping milk, they're dumping vegetables, they're dumping meat. The factories are closing. Is any of this good? I mean, and this factory, Tyson's closing because they had like 130 employees that were sick with COVID. So now they're a health risk to the rest of the world, right? So we send them home. And I've asked this so many times. How long until like the guy running the power plant gets sick, and then there's like 50 of them who get COVID and they're all sent home? We stop having power? How about the guy digging the coal? How about the guy driving the train that's shipping the coal? It's the supply chain. Hello? If the supply chain's getting sick and they got to go home because they're sick, then the supply chain stops and we stop getting things. We stop producing things because nobody's working. The guy shipping the things isn't shipping anything because they're not producing it. And he gets sick, and then they're definitely not shipping anything because he's sick too. It's not complicated. This isn't difficult to understand. It's a math problem. And so since it's a math problem, that's how we make logical decisions. Then maybe we need to look at the math of what's killing us with this virus. What is the death rate? How many people are dead versus how many people we're putting at risk? If we were putting 330 million people at risk with this virus, if 330 million people were going to die, then maybe we would make draconian measures to our stance on this virus. But we're not. And it's not. It's not killing 330 million people. It's killed 52,000 in this country over, what, a month and a half? And it was probably here longer than we know, based on the Santa Clara study. In fact, I know a lot of people that had something that was really bad around the end of December, early January, and nobody knows what it was. A friend of mine said they tested their daughter and it wasn't the flu. They didn't know what it was, but it knocked their kids out. Did the same to my kids for 2 days, knocked them out. I never seen my kids so lethargic. We had another kid who was out for a month, kid on the hockey team. He was out for a whole month. He was one of the better players. He was never the same. He came back after a month of being out, and he wasn't the same player because he was sick for a month. Never heard of a kid sick for a month. The kid's 9 years old, 10 years old. So we had something that wasn't the flu, that we didn't know what it was, but it didn't kill a lot of people. And now all of a sudden everybody's dying from this thing. We got to shut everything down and put 330 million people at risk. 7 billion, really? Because that's really what's happening. Is that the whole world, because the United States is shut down and so are the other major economies and countries. 7 billion people are at risk right now. And what are we waiting for? We're waiting to be injected by a vaccine before the next COVID-20 comes? Get out of here. Everyone's wearing masks. See people wearing gloves. Nobody's looking at you very nicely anymore. People are being mean. People are acting out. People are frustrated. People are done. People are done. I don't care who you are. You're frustrated and done with this BS. You're frustrated because there's people going out there trying to not say it's a big deal. Whatever. You're frustrated with those people. You're frustrated by being stuck inside, not having your job, not having money. You're stressed to the freaking max because you watch the news. And the news tells you it's a catastrophe. We are breaking at the seams because of this. I'm trying. I wish I would like to hold it together. I have hope and I pray. I have faith that humanity will pull through. I know that not everybody will make it, but I try to save the most I can. The people that care, the people that are open-minded, the people that want the truth. The truth will save you. The truth will set you free. Ignorance will not. Ignorance will get you dead. I only care about those who want the truth, and I will show you. I will lead you. I will take you there, and I will help you. There's not much more I can do. Each person has their own path. I can only show them the way. And hopefully they see it. Hopefully they catch on and understand how important life is. All of life, every life. That's how we can make better decisions. So, moving on, 5 million people have been tested. That's a good thing. I saw a video by Candace Owens recently, and she was saying, it was very interesting actually what she had to say, that getting a test really isn't the solution to any of this, because let's say the government, this is her argument, says everybody needs to get tested. Let's all show up and get tested. Well, now you have all these people surrounding each other trying to get tested, crammed in a small space, and you're going to spread the virus. There's just no question about that would happen, right? So you go and get everybody tested, and then you leave the facility and walk by somebody who has it and they infect you. But you just got tested. So now you need another test. But how do you know? You never know. You just don't know. You'll never know. So more tests isn't going to solve anything. This thing is around. The thing exists. If you are in a grocery store and someone breathes or sneezes and you walk past them, you're taking in their water vapor is hitting you. What is in the air? Seriously, how many people have painted? You paint something with oil in a room, and that shit will linger for a few hours. Those are oil droplets that you can smell. You can't smell the latex ones. They dry up faster, but they're still floating in the air. So because you can't smell it, it doesn't exist? No, it's in the air. It's airborne. It's not like airborne deadly. It's just airborne. You're going to get it. You're going to contract it no matter what you do. It's on everything that you see. It's on everything you touch because other people have touched it, because they touched their mask, and then they touch the box of food on the shelf, and then you touch your face. Or you touch your mask. And masks aren't meant to be worn 24/7. They're meant to be worn for a few hours. And that's it, and then thrown away. Your cloth mask, 2 hours top. I would recommend no more than 2 hours on your face. Throw it in the laundry. Get a new one. But even then, it's not like it's suctioned to your face. It's still getting in. It's still coming in and going out. You're not stopping anything. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe you're limiting a little bit, but really it's not helping you. You're not made to breathe with restriction. It's not natural. We're surrounded by germs. I was watching something by George Carlin today, and he's like, I used to swim in the Hudson River that was polluted in the 1940s, was filled with sewage, right? And he's like, that was right in the middle of the raging polio pandemic, right? Epidemic. He said, nobody in my neighborhood got sick. Because he's like, we were swimming in germs and raw sewage. If you ever want to get a laugh about the stupidity of this whole thing and germs and viruses, watch George Carlin. He's not a doctor, but he's right on the money. He's right on the money. But here we are wearing friggin' gloves and masks like we never seen a friggin' germ before. And we're going to see, and we're going to smell it and know it exists, know it's around us, and avoid it. Yeah. So, a couple more things. It's friggin' media. Trump talks about injecting ourselves, potentially asking a question. We've all seen the video. He's asking a question about whether it's possible to inject something, a disinfectant, into you that would stop this virus. Asking a question. Not suggesting this is what we're doing. Asking a question. The media manipulates it and says Trump wants to inject us with Lysol and bleach. So the left loses their mind because the media is lying to them. Great. To understand who Trump is, you have to, it's like I keep telling you, you got to understand your opponent. If you want to learn how to win, you got to understand your opponent. Tendencies, what they do, who they are, whatever, right? Chess, Madden, football, soccer, doesn't matter what game or sport you play, you got to understand your opponent, you got to understand your team. So Trump points out that we're to get injected with a disinfectant, like more or less like a vaccine, right? Well, that's what they're doing to us now. They're injecting us with vaccines, drugs, other injections, and other chemicals. What am I thinking of? I can't think. Anyway, he's talking basically about the pharma industry, Bill Gates, and Fauci. Fauci and Bill Gates are buddies, like they're eugenicists, right? And it's not. This is what Trump does. He puts people in place to expose them because what does he know? He knows that everything he says and everything he does and every person he puts into a cabinet position or any position on his administration is going to be heavily vetted and scrutinized. He knows that. So he takes these people that are like deep staters, Fauci and others, John Bolton, puts them in a position so that they're heavily scrutinized and ripped apart by both parties. You have people on the right, libertarians and otherwise, who dive into these people and be like, oh my word, this guy's the most horrible warmongering John Bolton person in the world. Great. So now we know this is the guy we don't want. This is good, but he's exposing them for who they are and who they're tied to because we've done the background research on them. And he exposes them. It's chess. Look at this guy, and the spotlight goes on that person. Fauci's the same way. The spotlight is on Fauci right now. And he's being exposed, and it's leading people to Bill Gates, and it's debunked the whole Bill Gates conspiracy theory by the left. And now he says injecting people with disinfectants, and people are all of a sudden realizing that we're already being injected with disinfectants. It's brilliant mathematician, logical manipulation, basically, by Trump. It's 4D chess. That's why he plays 4D chess. He understands the damn game, and he understands his opponent better than his opponent does. He's using pieces, chess pieces, from the deep state to expose the deep state. It's like it's the most brilliant plan ever. Love it. This is why I love Trump, just because he's smart. And if you want to understand friggin' Trump, you got to read his damn book, Art of the Deal. I actually audiobooked it over a year ago because I had to. I had to learn about Trump. Like, I didn't vote for Trump in 2016. I didn't vote for anybody. I almost voted myself in, right? It's like, that gives me one vote. So, but I didn't know what to expect from Trump. But as I've learned more about him through research and otherwise, reading his book, I understand who he is. I would love to have a conversation with somebody else who's also read his book, or even a liberal who's never read his book, and challenge him to read it and tell me what did you get out of that book? I'll tell you what I got out of it. I'm not going to tell you right now. You have to talk to me about it if you want to find out what I think. Because I learned something from everything I read. I learned something from every person I meet. I learned from a lot of interactions that I have. I learned how to be a better person. I learned how to articulate better. I learned how to be a better salesperson. I learned how to do videos better. Advertising better. Buy your Kangen water machine, would you? I learn everything better. That's just how I do things. I learned how to paint better because I cared about my job. I wanted to be a good painter. I didn't want to just be any painter. So I've learned about Trump. And I'm glad he's at the wheel, let me tell you. He's given me challenges. He's challenged my patience. He's challenged my moral beliefs. Honestly, because I don't love Trump. I don't love his personality. I don't love his attitude, and I don't love his reasoning to have that attitude. I think it's not a good way to go about things. But then I also understand the battle. I understand that I like to use the analysis that you have a bully, and you can only be kind to a bully for so long as they're punching you in the nose. Eventually, your please don't punch me in the nose, you have to understand it's not working. You understand that you need a bigger bully to punch back. You got to punch him in the nose too. And you got to punch harder. And that's what Trump does. Trump isn't afraid of the left. He knows the left because he was one of them. I'm not saying he was a liberal or a Democrat. I'm saying he was a part of their crew. A part of the elite. He is a part of the elite. He was rich beyond his imagination. He didn't need to be president to take this kind of harassment. Why the guy puts up with it every day is beyond me, but obviously he has a reason. And if it's a bad reason, if it's an evil reason, well, for crying out loud, I'm taking the lesser of two evils. I guess that's the way I'm going, but I don't see it that way because I see what he's doing. I see who he is based on the books that I've read about him, the information and research I've done, and what I know and what I see from the leftists. because the leftists have gone full on communism. I mean, that was obvious for a while, but it's full on running naked through the streets right now. I mean, there was an analogy I heard yesterday that the New World Order walked through the door, and that door they walked through was closed behind them and didn't open again. And they were stuck in the room with us. And now they have no choice but to expose themselves and fight for their last grasp. It's what they're doing. That's why it's like a dragon rears its ugly head. So it feels like to me. If you ever watched Sleeping Beauty, that was one of my favorite cartoons back in the day. Near the end of the movie, the knight comes in to save the princess, and the dragon, the witch, turns herself into this fire-breathing dragon. That's communism right there. It pretends to be nice for a long time while slowly draining your blood. And when you finally question it to the point that you know who it is, it exposes and reveals itself. So that's the Democratic Party, that's the Communist Party, that's the NBA, the NFL, FIFA, UN, WHO, CDC, CIA, FBI. They're all tied in. The communists have infiltrated NASA. They've infiltrated our government, every aspect of the globe. They put world leaders in place, like in Canada, Maduro, Fidel Castro, the North Korea leaders from Kim Jong-il to Kim Jong-un. It's all roads lead back to China, which is really weird. I didn't expect to see that, but that's the dragon, the red dragon. So communism is right on our doorstep, been calling it for a while. And here it is. This is what we're up against. And so, the problem that the left has, or at least people who follow leftism, follow Democrats, believe in that philosophy, watch that liberal media, they don't understand their opponent. They don't study their opponent. They're not playing chess, they're playing checkers. And they have no desire to learn about Trump. Ask them if they've read Art of the Deal. They'll tell you they burned it instead. So they burn knowledge. They burn in favor of ignorance. Because why would you burn your opponent's strategy and who they are and their psyche? That's what the devil does. People that follow the devil, follow Satan, they use God's teachings against God. They manipulate it. They know the devil knows his opponent. And it's one of the biggest mistakes of dictators is not understanding their opponents, burning their information and technology and ignoring it because they only care about their tunnel vision. They have one path: destruction and self, ego. Me, power. And because of that, they're narrow-minded and they forget about the fact that their opponent's information is vital to understanding them and remembering who they are and why they're a threat. And see, that's the left. The left just hates. They just have violence. They just want everybody who doesn't agree with them to die. While the right, the conservatives, the constitutionalists, they understand exactly who this opponent is. They're the ones with the guns. They're the ones fighting for freedom. And they understand what the battle is. And those are the two factions. There are people in the middle that don't know either side. Lots of those people who are confused, who are angry, who are been misled, have been lied to. They know they've been lied to, but they don't know how or why or what to look for, what the truth is. And the truth right now is so manipulated that no one knows what the truth is. It's very hard to find it. I struggle with it because there's so much information and you have to dig, because you're not going to just find the truth by 10, 12 different sites. You have to follow all kinds of information to figure out what the truth is. And then you have to read it and break it down and chase rabbit holes and find out the truth. and find out who people are and what their interest is and who's paying them, and follow the money. And so this is what we're up against. We've got the communists, the constitutionalists versus the New World Order. Now, to me, the Constitution, and to many, the Constitution is the greatest document ever created that has set more people free, that has freed more people globally, that has lifted more people out of poverty, that has created more millionaires, has created more success, created more innovation than any constitution in the history of mankind. 12,000 years. We've never had a document give so much freedom to people over government, where the government is the people. The government does not grant you and I rights. Our rights are God-given. By our birth, we are free. Not because government gives it to us, but that government protects it for us. Government ensures that we have a First Amendment, a Second Amendment, and the Second Amendment protects the First Amendment. And if you don't believe, or if you don't know, or if you don't understand in the Constitution of the United States, then you're not willing to protect it. If you don't believe in the philosophy that it has freed men and women and people of color more so than anything else in history, if you do not accept that as that document that has done that, then you are not willing to defend it. You are willing to give it up. And what are you giving it up for? What is the replacement? Because the people, the deep state, the New World Order, the Democrats, the communists, they don't like the Constitution. They hate it. It's inconvenient to them. It was inconvenient to Obama, if you recall. He said it himself. The Constitution is out of date. The Constitution's not realistic. It's an old document. It needs to be redone. All of those words, all of those things, all of those phrases that have been said about the Constitution have no desire to protect it. They have every desire to destroy it. To destroy the greatest document of all time. So I ask you, are you willing to defend it? Or are you willing to accept the New World Order that does not protect freedom of speech or your Second Amendment? Is that the type of document you would like to see? Because you do not protect the one that does give you those rights. Because you have 3 choices, maybe 4, right now. Your first choice is to use your God-given right of freedom of speech and the right to bear arms. You could join, that's the revolution. You could join what they think is the revolution, the resistance, which is really fighting the revolution for the elites, the communists who want to destroy the Constitution because you don't believe in the Constitution. You think it should be replaced. You don't believe in Columbus Day because it was racist. You don't believe in all of these mislabeled, misrepresented truths perpetrated by the media. Or you could do nothing and just try to watch it go by and let other people decide the fight. And maybe the fight won't be brought to your home. Maybe. Doubtful, but maybe. Or you could leave the country and go live in one of those socialist, communist utopians. Like Cuba, Venezuela, eat out of garbage trucks. Yeah. You like communism? You like Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Democratic Party, media propaganda, liberalism that has supported terrorists, China, the WHO, which has supported China, and everything against Trump, which is trying to bring manufacturing, jobs, growth, and America back. The Democrats have fought every step of the way, and now they've exposed themselves as the true communists and threat to this country. Nothing is a lot harder to destroy a country from the outside. It is much easier to use a Trojan horse and destroy it from the inside. And that's what we're fighting. Destruction of our country from the inside, where we're overtaxed, overburdened, overworked, overstressed, overdrugged, overinjected, overfed, overpoisoned. For what? Might be time to get back to God. So you have your choices, and you can decide. I pray every day that this will get resolved before it comes to that. But as I look around and I watch the two factions come together, one faction does not believe in the Constitution or God. The other does. One has guns and the other doesn't. But one is a dragon. One is a patriot. Which one are you? And on that note, we're going to say goodnight. You guys have an awesome evening. So it's Friday night. Tomorrow's Saturday. Got my day planned. I hope you guys have a seriously good weekend. Please do yourself a favor. Get yourself close to the source. Pray. Get one with God. He is your salvation. Love y'all. Really do. Subscribe to my channel. Like my stuff. Send me emails. You know it. And bye, Kangen. Later, people. Good night. Peace.